Hi! By the end of this video, you'll have learned everything you need to know about painting the outside of your home or building. I'll share with you the fruits of my labor and research on this topic. Painting is a scientific task that can also be very fun because in the end you'll have transformed and refurbished the large object that you're working on. Painting can give an object new life. It's like putting a new shell on something old. Here's everything you need to know about exterior paint and how to use it. So what is paint made of and how does it work? Paint is used to decorate and preserve natural or synthetic materials. Paint contains pigment, a binder, which is also called a resin. The pigment is the color and it attaches to the binder through a matrix, and then it's dispersed through the third element of paint, which is called the solvent, which is usually water. So the pigment and binder together makes a jelly-like material, and the solvent is what makes it into spreadable paint. Paint can also contain extenders for adhesion and strength, additives like silicone to help protect against weather, dispersants which help the pigments to spread more easily, dryers to help the paint dry faster, bactericides to keep the paint clean and sterile, and fungicides to help stop mold and fungus from growing on the paint once it's applied. It can also contain anti-settling agents to keep things from settling in the wrong way within the can. So, paint is made depending on its proposed use. So paint can be used as a primer, which is what's used usually on bare wood in order to prime the surface to get ready to get paint on it. Paint can also be made to be used as an undercoat, and then paint can also be made with special finishes like enamel coating meant to go on the top. So the pigment disperses into the binder, the solvent is added for the desired consistency and to reduce viscosity. Here is an example of a common paint. This is an example of a white gloss alkyd paint. The resource was essentialchemicalindustry.org. The red represents the pigment. Pigments are usually made out of some sort of metal, for example, zinc oxide, which makes red, yellows, and blacks. The most common pigment is titanium oxide, which makes white. The pigment represents 25% of this paint. The 30% of this paint is a binding agent. Binding agents are of three types: acrylic polymers, alkyd polymers, which is this type, and epoxy polymers, which are more sticky industrial paints. This type is the most common, acrylic polymers are the most common. This is an alkyd polymer, which is used more for interior gloss and decorative paints. The blue represents the solvent, which is 40%, and that's, as I said before, usually just water. And then this paint has 5% additives. The additives are usually what makes it a gloss or maybe a flat paint, which is better for hiding imperfections in the surface that's being painted. A good paint has ease of application, lots of flow, lots of opacity, which means lots of pigment, lots of good color in it. It's quick drying, it's resistant to corrosion and scratches. It's got color stability. When it's hit by the sun, it doesn't fade very quickly. And it's durable, flexible, and easily cleaned. And these are all the things that the people that make paint really look for when they're creating their paint. So now that we've learned what's in those buckets, let's learn how to get the surface ready to paint. So the first thing you want to do is cover all the objects near your house, like shrubbery and walkways, so you're not looking at paint you don't want there for a really long time. Repair cracks and holes in surfaces that you're going to paint. Reglaze windows if the putty around them is cracked or broken. And then, according to HomeDepot.com, you want to scrub the walls with a TSP trisodium phosphate solution to prepare it. And the purpose of this is not to get all the paint off, but to remove any flaking or peeling paint and give you a smooth surface to apply the paint to. You could use a pressure washer, but the risk of doing that is that you could get water inside in between the cracks of the siding, and that could give you some water damage in your home, which you really don't want. Also, according to HomeDepot.com, beware of paint that was applied before 1978 when they were using lead-based paints. Just keep that in mind, that those paints could contain lead. So once you've scrubbed it with TSP, make sure you've rinsed it all off, and now you're ready to apply paint to the surfaces. And why do we want to apply paint to certain surfaces? Paint will revive your home or garage or whatever building that you want to paint. After a long time, whatever paint they have on them fades, wears away. This will give it new life, make it beautiful, and also protect it from the elements, because sun damage and water damage, it can really wear away the organic materials. The paint is like a shell that keeps your building safe. So make sure you go for top brands like Behr and Sherwin-Williams. If you buy a cheap brand of paint, it's not going to spread or go very far at all. It's definitely worth it to spend a little more. And you want to prime it first, get your surfaces ready, and then apply 2 coats in order to make it nice and beautiful. Now when you apply the paint, you can use a brush for small cracks, and you can use a roller. You put this on the roller, roll it in the paint, and roll it on. It goes much faster than a brush. It just doesn't get into little cracks. And you could also get an extender to get up high where you can't reach, which is much easier than using a ladder. Be realistic. Painting takes a lot of time. Painting a large house could take a week or more. According to realestate.usnews.com, you need to wait for temperate weather in order to paint. Anything under 50 degrees, your paint won't stick right, and over 90 degrees, it will dry too fast. Watch videos, use proven techniques, work from top to bottom, then do your trim, and then touch up any areas you missed. And if it's too much for you, consider hiring a pro. So why do we paint? Paint is our most valuable resource against the entropy of this world. It works with the pigment binder and solvent along with other materials. Get all your surfaces ready, scrub them down and smooth them, and then paint with your multiple coats in your preferred method. Now I hope that you've learned enough to be able to understand paint and what you have to do if you ever find yourself painting a house.